Donahue?
Prosecutor, would you please make a motion that we continue this case to another day? None of us want to be here at 6 o'clock. Nor will I tolerate another rush to judgment in this case.
Could you please do it today, Your Honor? Just take it out of my time and sleep on my life.
Your Honor, the state's ready. We do have our witness present. She's been here since, 1:30. So, we have 45 minutes. It's 4:15. And I plan on putting on one witness, so I don't think we'll need substantially longer than that.
Come on up, Mr. McDonough.
You ready?
Let's go. State's ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is the defense ready to proceed?
Yes, I am. However, I'm a little disappointed that Armendez isn't here to testify. Is there a reason for that, Mr. Prosecutor? Deputy Armendez not being here?
I'm not going to be answering questions.
Right, we'll let the state present its case. If they have a reason for certain witnesses they call, that's up to them. If they have witnesses that they don't call, that's up to them. It's their case.
Perhaps I spoke out of turn. I didn't know it was not my turn yet. Can I sit down? My joints are pretty bad. Do you mind?
Nope, have a seat. All right, how many witnesses for the state?
One, Your Honor.
All right. Any witnesses for the defense?
No.
Okay. Since there's only one witness that's gonna testify, there won't be any need for the exclusionary rule. So go ahead and call your first witness.
Cindy Pert. Please, clerk, and raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
If you could please state and spell your name for the record, ma'am.
It's Cindy, Cindy, Pert, Peart.
All right. Mr. Ferguson?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, do you know an individual by the name of Richard McDonough?
McDonough, yes, I do. He's my neighbor across the street from me. He lives across the street.
And is he in court today?
Yes, he is. He's right there.
Your Honor, may the record reflect identification of the defendant.
The record will reflect the in-court identification of the defendant.
And, ma'am, do you and Mr. McDonough live here in Nye County?
Yes, I do.
On or about January 17th, 2016, did you have an encounter with Mr. McDonough?
So much of an encounter. He was yelling things at night, and in the morning, when I got up, he yelled something, and I called the police.
Okay. What's your address?
8290 Cottontail Road, 89061.
But, let's see, does he also live on Cottontail, or does he live on a different street?
He lives across the street. He lives on Lout Drive, I believe, right directly across from Cottontail. His address is Lout. My street runs like this. It's a real short street. I think it's only 2 blocks long. And he lives directly across the street from me on Lout. Lout is right here, and then Keisha is right here.
Okay, so do Lout and Cottontail run parallel to each other?
No.
They intersect?
Yeah, Lout runs this way, and Cottontail runs this way. I live on Cottontail.
Okay, so you live on Cottontail. Do you live close to the intersection with Lout?
Yes, Lout is to my right, and Keisha's to my left. And then he lives directly across the street, across Cottontail, but his address is Lout.
I see. So he's directly across the street, across Cottontail
Yes.
from you, but his actual street address is on Lout, not Cottontail.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sort of a normal-sized residential street?
My street is just my house, then Loud, and then,
Well, I'm trying to figure out how big the streets are. I mean,
it's a normal-sized block in Pahrump, yes.
okay. All right. It's not like one of our highways, 160 or 372, that's 5 lanes across or something.
No, but mine's kind of small because it's just my house, my 2.5 acres. You know, from Keisha to Loud, and then he's directly across the street.
How many years have you been neighbors?
I believe he moved there in 2000. I'm not quite sure. He lived there part-time. He lived in Utah also. I moved there. Me and my ex-husband built the house in 1996. I just found the record. I bought the land in 1992.
So you've been neighbors with him for more than 15 years?
Yes, off and on, but he didn't live there for permanently until maybe, I'm not sure, 2008, 2009, something like that.
All right. So he's been your neighbor across the street from you for at least 6 years at this point?
Full-time, but believe he moved there in 2000. Someone else owned the house before that.
Okay. So it's been at least maybe more than 6 years that he's been across the street neighbors from you.
Yes, but like I said, he lived there part-time. He said he had houses in Utah also. He's from Utah.
Okay. So are you familiar with Mr. McDonough?
A little bit, yes.
Have you have you heard his voice before?
Yes, I have.
As of January 17th, 2016, were you familiar with the sound of his voice?
Yes, yes.
What did you hear Mr. McDonough say to you on January 17th of 2016?
I heard his voice sometime in the night, and I've had trouble with him before. He said, "Just wait till I hear your pussy pop, bitch." And then I heard him say, 911, what is your emergency? In the middle of the night. Also, in the daylight, that was when it was dark, in the daylight, he opened up his back door and he yelled out, "Mental evaluation. When I'm done with her, she's going to need more than a mental evaluation."
All right. Do you have
Before
reason
I'm done with her, she's going to need a mental. She's going to need more. It says, he yelled out, "When I'm done with her, she's going to need more than a mental. Before I'm done with her, she's going to need more than a mental evaluation."
Why did you believe these comments were directed at you?
Because he had been walking up and down the street. I believe he's been in my yard. He's just, I have an extended TPO on him. I've just had trouble ever since a deputy came to his house on, I think it was December 28th, and the deputy said something to him. He's just been totally out of line, and I'm afraid of him. I'm afraid for my life.
All right. When a deputy came to his house on December 28th, was that pursuant to a phone call that you made to the police?
No, I don't know what it was about. I just heard it. I had a window room air conditioner, and I'm not much of a carpenter, so anyway, there's a gap in there, and I can hear. He was outside, and they were talking. They was pertaining to me because he did say something about my garage, my shop, and the cop said something about me to him. And
Now you're talking about the December 28th?
yes, and I believe it was referring to something that happened in September where he threatened me, and I should have went to the police, but I didn't.
On January 17th, what led you to believe that the things you heard him shouting were directed at you?
Because he had been harassing and stalking me and yelling out things and audios too since 12/28, since actually after the 29th, he has just been stalking me, and he's still stalking me. I mean, I'm afraid. I go to sleep, I wake up, I snore, I wake up, and he's got audios or he yells something. He's out there.
Approximately what time was it when you heard these, him shout these things at you?
It was in the middle of the night. I didn't write it down until I did. It was 7. The mental evaluation thing, when he said that, it was around 7 something in the morning. And it was before that, maybe 2 or 3 in the morning when he said the other things. It's not the first time. I usually put it on my phone or write it down, the things that he says. But I'm a nervous wreck, and most of the time the police, when I do call the police, they don't want to talk to him. They don't want to give him a disturbing of the peace, or they just don't want to talk to him, They won't go over there and talk to him at all. It took him 6 weeks to serve the extended TPO after we went to court. And he was home.
When he shouted these things, was it loud?
Yes, it was loud. When he said, just wait till I hear your pussy pop, bitch, it wasn't quite that loud, but unfortunately, I heard it. It wasn't the first time he said something like that, but when he said the mental evaluation thing at 7 something in the morning, it was loud, yes.
Let me ask you, are you familiar with him having any issue with any other neighbors around his home?
No, he kind of sticks to himself.
So you haven't seen him having a verbal altercation with any other neighbors on the block?
No, I stick to myself too. I just kind of mind my own business, but I haven't, no. None that I can recall, no.
I'll pass the witness.
Mr. McDonough, any questions of this witness?
Yes. Do I have to stand?
Phrase it in the form of a question.
Do I have to stand?
No?
Thank you. Do you know Karen Martin?
I did, yes, I did.
Did she serve you with a permanent protective order?
No, not a permanent.
Objection, relevance?
That has nothing to do with,
Just a minute. Objection, relevance?
How is that relevant to this case?
Well, it goes to the character of the witness, her actions in the past, and actions that will occur in the future.
I believe,
Just a moment. Your Honor, I don't believe that there's any character evidence exception that would allow this.
Sustained.
Referring to a date, January 17th, the cops were called. Do you recall who that was?
I believe it was E. Armandiers, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
And how many times have you called the police after that Armendez visit?
I don't know. I'd have to.
Would you like to know?
I've called the police several times. I don't call them enough. I'm tired of calling them when it comes to you and to others.
Well, would you be surprised if I said it was 11 times?
I don't know what kind of question that is. I have no idea how many times I've called.
So many you can't even keep track. Is that correct?
I'd have to look into my records to find out.
No other question. You say that you made a comment about the 28th, that there was a police called on the 28th. You saw them over at my house. Is that correct?
28th of what?
I have to refer to your 28th of December. Wait a
Yes,
minute.
I did. I seen a deputy. I did not. Yeah, I seen a car, yes. I have cameras, as you know.
15. Would it surprise you to find out that there was never a deputy at my door on the 28th? There was never any deputies at my door until the 17th of January.
Yes, it would surprise me to say because I think you're lying.
Let's explore some of these things here. Somebody went through this application for your restraining order and circled and underlined just a myriad of things.
Objection, he's testifying to hearsay.
Wait a minute, wasn't this provided to me in the discovery phase?
What we did or didn't provide as discovery has no bearing on my hearsay objection.
Well, when I asked for this discovery file on this case, this is what I was handed.
Okay. What he's objecting to is you said that somebody went through here and circled a bunch of things.
Yes, that's accurate, an accurate statement.
Okay, all right. If somebody did it and you don't have firsthand knowledge of it, it's hearsay. That's what he's saying. Whoever it is that supposedly you're referring to that went through there and circled all those things or underlined all those things, they would be the ones that would need to testify that they did that and why they did it. If it's not something that you can testify to from firsthand knowledge, it's hearsay.
Very well then, it never occurred. How about this statement by Cindy Pert? The past 2 years, you've heard and been awakened by strange sounds, music, a crackling of a PA system, and other recordings. Do you recall making that statement?
When was this?
This is on the application for your restraining order.
Are we dealing with a restraining order right now, or are we dealing with disturbing of the peace?
We're dealing with the disturbing of the peace.
Well, anyway, you made it. I don't have to ask you if you remember it. I got proof here you made it, so maybe I'm out to lunch. Here we are again. I've heard his voice and other sounds also when I was having trouble with the other neighbor.
Yeah, I object that he's just reading hearsay from an unknown source into the record. He hasn't laid any foundation.
Do I need to enter this as Exhibit B or A? I guess it'd be A, because I thought this was Exhibit A, my discovery package. Can I enter this into as Exhibit A?
I would oppose without foundation.
My question would be, if you received discovery from the district attorney's office, what would that discovery have been? I'm sure that the district attorney's office didn't give you discovery pertaining to a restraining order that doesn't pertain to a criminal matter. A restraining order is a civil matter.
Right. This is a criminal case. This
Right.
breach of peace.
Right.
When I went in to ask them about it, the secretary
When you
handed
went
me
to
this.
ask the DA's office about it,
Yes.
or the court about it? Where did you get the discovery from?
Well, that office, as you walk into the front door, it's off to your left. The first office to your left.
Okay? Because I don't know how the district attorney's office would have a copy of a restraining order in one of their files when it doesn't have anything to do with a criminal case.
I guess you'll have to ask them.
Well, Your Honor, I will state for the record that sometimes if we think a statement made on an application for a restraining order is relevant to a charge, we will obtain that either as exculpatory evidence that we need to hand over as Brady or as additional evidence that supports one of our charges. But I can tell you that in this case, we don't have any statements in support of restraining orders. He did not receive whatever that is from us. We have a copy of the citation, period.
So the copy of the restraining order that he keeps referring to was not part of discovery that was furnished by the DA's office?
No, it was not.
So then it's not relevant.
Well, do you recall making a statement for the last 2 years I've been hounding you, harassing you?
When was this?
When was what?
When did I make the statement?
Just a minute. Approximately January 17th, 2016.
Oh, I could have. I don't remember that, but I could have, yes. I didn't know, I don't use those kind of words.
No,
Hounding,
you're
no.
right. I summed it
No,
up.
hounding, no, I wouldn't use that kind of words. I wouldn't use that kind of language. No, I can't recall those exact words, but,
Yeah, 2 years you say this has been going on.
no, I didn't say anything about 2 years. I really don't
How long has
recall
this
that.
been
That was
going
6
on?
months ago. This is January 17th. It is June 27th, as I recall.
This all started on June 27th.
June 27th, June 27th is today, Richard McDonough.
2015. When did this all start?
2000, when did what all start? What's your question?
Ay, ay, ay. I'm accused of breaching the peace by walking by your house, making noise, yelling things, broadcasting a PA system, noise into your house coming out of my garage, listening in on your conversations on a telephone
No, I didn't say
inside
that.
of your garage and in your house.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, is there a question pending?
That's what I'm waiting for, is a question.
I forgot what she asked me and why I started answering that, quite frankly. Anyway, this has been going on for how long? How long has I've been walking up and down your street making noise and harassing you and breaching your peace?
Aren't we
I'm gonna object.
on
It's beyond
January
the
7th?
scope.
Aren't we
I'm gonna-
talking about January 17th?
Stop, please. I'm gonna object that it's beyond the scope, Your Honor. We're talking about January 17th. Obviously, there's an extensive history between these two, and I kept the scope of my direct narrow to January 17th, because I don't want to hear about the entire history of bad blood between these two. We're talking about what happened on January 17th, and I would object to the scope of that question being beyond that.
The point I was trying to make here is she's saying I'm making noise. Is this the first time I've ever bothered you, made noise?
No, it's not.
When was the first time?
I can't-
Objection, beyond the scope, relevance.
If you could stick to the facts that happened around January the 17th, and that's what you're asking questions about,
Oh,
Mr.
I'm not
McDonough.
privy to those facts. All I have is this ticket.
Okay?
What does it say?
It says that there was a breach of the peace that occurred on January the 17th.
Well,
And the
perhaps.
facts that she testified to as to how that happened on January the 17th.
Yeah, and is that the only incident? Can I ask her that? Is that the only incident you're talking about?
And I'm gonna object to the
You
question.
already asked her that question, and she said, no, it's not the only time it's happened, but
Do you have any proof? Any recordings, audio recordings?
Objection. He's argumentative, and he's trying to elicit additional evidence that's outside the record, which, Your Honor, we're not going into other proof. The state has presented its evidence. If he has any evidence of his own, he can certainly cross-examine, but I don't see that this is going anywhere.
Cross-examine, isn't that what I'm doing now?
No.
no.
What am I doing now?
Do you remember the testimony that she
Do I have
testified
to
to
call her
under?
as a witness to cross-examine her?
No. Do you remember the questions that were asked by the state and the questions that she answered under direct examination?
No.
They were
Because we're here
specifically pertaining to the date of January the
January
17th.
17th, this ticket
Okay.
I hold in my hand. Let me
They
get-
were specific to what was said by you, what she heard by you, and there were three things that she testified to specifically, okay?
Just make a long story real short here. Do
You
you
have-
have any proof of that?
Objection, Your Honor. We've already offered her sworn testimony as proof. It's not for her to provide any other proof that's a call for the state to make.
Well, did you know that this ticket was originally entered as a traffic ticket?
Objection, relevance, foundation.
Well, this would be for Mr. Armendez to address the sloppiness of his work, his inability to write this down as a criminal offense instead of a traffic ticket.
I'm going to object that these are not questions for this witness.
They aren't questions for this witness. My question was, do you have any questions for this witness with regards to cross-examination? She can't testify to what Mr. Armendariz did or what he didn't do.
Nor can he. So I'm a little disappointed he isn't here.
Do you have any other questions for this witness?
Yes, have you ever called the police before on me after this incident?
Yes, I believe I have.
Do you even know the result of that incident?
Objection, relevance, hearsay.
You have. So, you've opened the door to that.
How did we open the door to that?
She's admitted she's called the police on me after this incident.
Okay.
I'd like to jump around a little bit here. Well, no, I guess I can't do that, because I would have to refer to the restraining order hearing before you, when you instructed her and I to stay away from each other. See, now, I can't do that. Is that correct?
That was a separate matter that doesn't pertain to the facts that pertain to this case.
Right. This case is a breach of peace. She's already given her testimony.
January the 17th.
Yes, and she has testified that she's called him before.
Your Honor, if I can just point out, I believe what Mr. McDonough has is an application of a restraining order that was filed apparently on or about January 17th of 2016. So perhaps Ms. Pert wrote in that application something about this incident. If any of those statements in the application are inconsistent with her sworn testimony today, then that's certainly something that's proper for exploration by the defense on cross-examination. But this is not a situation where he can just offer her statement. Every question has been argumentative, every question has been without foundation or any perceptible relevance. But there is potentially something out there that he might ask. I don't know what it is because I haven't seen that application, but I'm hoping to maybe guide him in the right direction. There may be a question in there that makes sense.
Well, I appreciate your help. Can I enter this as Exhibit A and give this to the prosecutor? Seeing as how it was handed to me by Nye County as part of the discovery on this ticket?
Your Honor, I would object without foundation, and it was not part of our discovery.
What was part of the discovery? I don't understand. If this isn't it, when I ask them for the discovery package and they hand me this, you say that's not it.
He explained to you that if that was part of their discovery, he would have a copy of that restraining order in his file. They would have whatever they gave you as discovery, they would have a copy of that in their file, okay? He does not have that in his file, so that is not part of their discovery.
Well, just because he doesn't have it in his file doesn't mean it wasn't handed to me by Nye County as the discovery package when I inquired about this ticket.
Your Honor, there's really no relevance to this whole discussion right now. If there is something relevant within that document, he may ask questions about it. If it is inconsistent with her sworn testimony today, he may then be able to admit portions or all of that into evidence to show the inconsistencies between her statements now and then. But what he's trying to do is without any legal or factual basis at this point.
Right.
Do you recall the last county sheriff that visited your house?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Relevance being that by then, the last county sheriff that visited her house was fed up with her calling Nye County sheriffs.
Okay, and the relevance to this case is what? Because obviously the sheriff's office went to her house on this day because they issued you a citation.
Yeah, and as they explained it to me, they have to show up. When somebody calls the Nye County Sheriff's Office, they have to show up.
Okay? That's their job. That's what they get paid to do, is to keep the peace. When somebody calls and wants to report a breach of the peace or any other type of crime that's being committed, that's what they're charged with. Those are their duties to investigate that crime.
Well, I'm just,
And if that other deputy that you're referring to, which I don't know who that is, made that statement and you wanted that statement as part of the record or read into evidence, you should have had that deputy subpoenaed to come here to testify to how many times they responded to her house, and that deputy was fed up with going to her house. But you don't have any foundation, you don't have any direct testimony from the deputy who allegedly made that statement, so it's not admissible.
how about a video of that deputy?
He takes videos too of me.
Video tape. Your Honor, it sounds
He
like
has a
he's-
listening device. I wish he had the
Ma'am,
money to buy
please
one.
stop. Your Honor, it sounds like he's asking to admit video of the deputy, which would be hearsay, because that deputy's not here on the stand, and unless he subpoenaed the deputy, I'm not expecting him to be here to testify today. The state has called its one and only witness. I announced earlier, we have one witness. This is her. We've presented our case. This is supposed to be cross-examination. I'd much like to hear the cross-examination so we can move on.
Well, everything I say is shut down. This isn't right. I didn't get this from where I said I got it, which is incorrect. I did. Do I make a closing argument now? Or am I-
Are you done with your cross-examination?
Apparently. Doesn't look good.
Nothing else, state rests.
All right, this witness may be excused.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other witnesses for the state?
No, Your Honor, we rest.
Any witnesses for the defense?
No.
All right. Then with regards to closing arguments,
Your Honor, I will submit it on the testimony of Ms. Pert. The statute states, every person who shall maliciously and willfully disturb the peace or quiet of any neighborhood or person or family by loud or unusual noises or by tumultuous and offensive conduct, threatening, traducing, quarreling, challenging to fight or fighting, shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. And she testified to the loud, offensive things that the defendant stated to her back on January 17th, 2016. Based upon her testimony, I'd ask you to find him guilty.
all right? Closing statement, Mr. McDonough?
I would just ask this court that if you found her a credible witness, I would say you would have to find me guilty if you found her a credible witness that told the truth. Defense rests.
Well, based on the fact that you didn't present any evidence that discredited any of her testimony,
Other than
would have to
saying,
find her, you rested. I would have to find her a credible witness. I didn't hear any testimony from anybody that indicated that she was lying about anything, or that she had ever been accused of any false or deceptive type of crimes, or anything to relate that she wasn't credible. All right? So then, based on your own statement, if I found her credible, then I should find you guilty, and I find you guilty. Okay? With regards to sentencing in this matter, $500 fine plus court costs and fees. And when can you pay that?
today,
You paid in full today. Anything else?
that'll do it for now.
Court's adjourned.